When did you decide to fight fire with fire? My neighborhood was perfect for 5 years. Then Linda moved in 2 doors down and became our HOA president. This woman was absolutely insane about rules. First, it started small. She left notes on my windshield about my trash cans being visible for literally 5 minutes after pickup. Then she complained about my lawn being too wild, even though I paid Carlos $20 every 2 weeks to cut it. But the final straw came when I got home from work and found a bright yellow envelope taped to my door. Inside was a letter saying I owed $500 in violation fines for having non-regulation plants in my front yard. The offensive plants? 2 lavender bushes my wife planted before she passed away 3 years ago. Those bushes were all I had left of her garden. I tried being nice first. I emailed Linda explaining the situation. I called her twice and left polite voicemails. I even showed up to the monthly HOA meeting wearing my best shirt, thinking maybe face-to-face would work better. Big mistake. Linda stood up in front of everyone and said, "Rules are rules, Elliot. Your emotional attachment doesn't change community standards. Remove the plants or pay the fines." She actually smirked when she said it. The whole room went silent. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about those lavender bushes and how my wife would water them every morning with her coffee. Linda wanted to destroy the only living memory I had left, so I decided to fight fire with fire. I went to my computer and did something I'd never done in 20 years of living here. I actually read the entire HOA contract, all 60 mind-numbing pages of legal nonsense. At 2 in the morning, drinking my 4th cup of coffee, I found something buried on page 43. Any HOA president who receives 3 valid complaints from different residents can be subject to a removal vote at the next scheduled meeting. I almost laughed out loud. Linda had no idea this rule existed, but I was about to make it her problem. The next day, I started knocking on doors. I didn't have to work hard to find people who hated Linda. Mrs. Kim at the corner house told me Linda fined her family $200 for a pink flamingo lawn ornament. "It's been in my yard for 8 years, she said. Never bothered anyone until that woman moved in. The retired couple next to me, Bob and Ruth, said Linda had stepped onto their property with a measuring tape to check if their driveway cracks violated some made-up rule. She was literally trespassing, Bob said, taking pictures and everything. By the end of the week, I had my 3 complaints ready. First, harassment and targeted enforcement against multiple residents. Second, trespassing on private property without permission. Third, from a neighbor across the street whose dog kept them awake barking every single night past midnight. Turns out, it was Linda's dog. I filed all 3 complaints officially through the HOA website, making sure to include photos, dates, and witness statements. Linda had no idea what was coming. At the next meeting, Linda walked in with her usual attitude, carrying a folder of new violations she'd probably dreamed up that week. She started the meeting by reading off more fines and complaints about people's gardens and holiday decorations. Then I stood up. "Before we continue, I need to address something important," I said, pulling out my printed copy of the HOA contract. "According to Section 12, subsection D, any HOA president who receives 3 valid complaints can be voted out immediately." Linda's face went white. "What are you talking about?" I read the exact text from the contract, then explained each complaint, the harassment, the trespassing, the noise violations from her own dog. I had dates, photos, and signed statements from neighbors. "This is ridiculous," Linda sputtered. "You can't just—" "Actually, I can. The contract you swore to uphold says I can. I'm calling for an official vote to remove Linda as HOA president." The room erupted. People who'd been silent for months suddenly found their voices. Someone shouted, "Finally!" Another person started clapping. Linda looked around the room like she couldn't believe what was happening. When we voted, 17 hands shot up before Linda could even defend herself. Only 2 people voted to keep her. She lost her position right there. But I wasn't done yet. I nominated myself as interim president, promising to focus only on real issues and refund every unfair fine Linda had collected. I won unanimously, 34-0. My first official act? I pulled out my checkbook and wrote Linda a refund check for the $500 fine she'd slapped on me. Then I handed out refunds to everyone else she'd targeted. The look on her face when I gave her that check was absolutely priceless.